Hey everybody, Tap here, and we're going to talk about the marking system on the two different kinds of decks that are David Blaine decks. One of them is the Black Label deck, which we're looking at here, and the other is the Tour Edition deck, a bit cheaper, which we'll look at next. Now, I've magnified it a bit, and it's still going to be difficult to convey these concepts. I'll have to manually focus the camera and such, but when I talk about the in-jogging or dimming or lighter or darker on this particular marking system, I'm talking about the fact that up here we have a diamond of 4 spades. This is where the suit is determined. You probably don't see a difference between the darkness and brightness of these 4 until I tell you that this one is darker than this one, or this one. So now when you look at it, you go, oh yeah, this one here is just a little bit darker. Now that's how the suits are determined, and that's a diamond. I'll put a better graphic up other than my explanation, but for the Black Label decks and the Tour Edition, this suit assignment is not the same. So on the Black Labels, we go from clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. So it forms an S, if you will, but chased is this way, from right to left on the Black Label decks. The next thing, and there are only 2 other things about the, well, 3 other things about the marking on the deck. The most obvious one, as you can see, is that these are one-sided or offset cut. Over here, we have much more white space than we do over here. And this goes for the jokers, the gaff cards, everything. This is great for turning cards around, things like that. So all of the cards in the deck, all of them, even the ad cards, are cut so that the design is offset enough that they're basically one-sided backs. Even though, if you've noticed down here, all of the card markings, for example, this is the suit, and there's our diamonds, are not. So you're going to have your same markings on either corner and either sides. The next marking to talk about is the number, the way that the pip count, if you will, is done. On these cards, and we'll take a look at this a little bit closer, but we have a counting system that starts out here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then comes back again, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King. So you have 6 and 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is why sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, you can only tell the suit by what's up here." Well, that's not true. The key is you use these half aces that are along the side to determine whether or not this is, say, a 2 or an 8, a 3 or a 9, a 4 or a 10, a 5 or a Jack, etc. And the way you do that is that you notice which of these, instead of being lighter or darker like we had up here at the suits, you look for which one of these is pointing that way. In other words, it's been offset a little bit in this direction, going that way from the rest. And it doesn't appear very obvious from here, at least with this view. If you had the cards in front of you, it's extremely obvious. So I have the Jack of Diamonds. I have the Jack, Queen, King, and Ace because they're treated a little bit differently after the 12. So I know ahead of time that I should see 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack. This guy right here should be offset in that direction, and it is. And because it was on the second round, not up to 6, but up to the ace, I know that the way I tell is that the marking on the left, this half ace, will be lighter than the 2 around it going up. So this is the 5th mark up, but because up to the left it is light, instead of this one, I know it is the upper 6 and not the lower. Now, perhaps you can see that this is lighter in the same way that these 3 are lighter. This is lighter than the one above and the one below. This took me like, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes of just looking at the cards, knowing that they were marked. I mean, it doesn't even come with instructions or anything, but this idea of secrecy, you bought the deck, you knew it was marked. You know, it's only fair that I see these videos of people who don't know all the marks, or they're people who have bought them and they're confused, or they don't even know that they're marked. So it's okay. You bought this. It's not a secret. It was printed right on the cards. So in this case, let's take this out as an example, and I'll put it under a little bit more magnification. And what this requires is for me to manually adjust our focus just a little. Now it's hard to tell where we are on the card unless I go to the end. So I'll go to the end. At this magnification and with my not so great camera, you actually can't tell, at least I can't, that this one is darker than these 3. But it is. And we saw that when we looked at it from a distance. But I want to show you these half spades, the split spade being the name of the deck or the system. I want to show you that this one right here was the light one we were talking about. This is the one that was lighter than either the one above or the one below. Sorry, the magnification is like this, where it only shows a few at a time. Depending on where I put this, it might look like this is smaller. It isn't. Now, what I'm talking about is, like, let's take a look at these. And maybe I'm coming at this from a bad angle. I'll try not to cast too much shadow. If you notice, there's not a lot of black outlining on the left side of this half spade. You know, this is the part that's pointing down, the half of the spade, what do you want to call it, the right half. There'd be a left half over here somewhere. But there's a big bold line on the left edge of this half. This one almost goes to nothing, it's so light right here. And this one's dark and very well defined. And the exact same thing happens with the one above it. So what you're doing is you're looking for the indicator either above or below your mark. I said, well, how did you know that was your mark? This guy here, how did you know? Well, remember I said it was out jogged in this direction to the left, just a little bit. Trying to think of a good way to illustrate this. I'll use another card. And as I bring this card closer to the split in the aces, and I try to line it up best I can on the top and the bottom, you might be able to tell that the one right in the middle of the magnifier is off to the left a little. Now this is a poor level for the magnifier, so let me see if I can just bring it up a little bit, or down rather, and I can get it to show more of the pips at once. Or excuse me, they're not pips, more of the indicators on the back. Now, for reference, this is our jack of diamonds, which means it's going to be 11, or 6 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's our guy. Now it's a little more obvious, isn't it? And much more so in person. This is actually sitting to the left of the ones below and above it. And again, I'm trying to find a decent way with the shadows here not playing tricks on me to illustrate this. And perhaps coming out like this, it's much easier. That's pretty good. In real life, if you were here, you'd be able to see that there's a bit of the right half of this spade, this part over here, actually showing. That's how far over it is. And I know the camera can't do what the eye can. So that's how it is. I'll have a pretty graphic off to the right. And that's how the marking system is. Now, if we take another card, say one of the jokers or one of the blanks or the double backers, and we take a look at the top left, and we say compare it to the ace of diamonds, and let's look at those 4 suit indicators at the top. Here we had C, H, S, D, chased, because it makes the, it makes an S, C, H, S, D. Diamond is much darker than the other indicators for clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. But look at these 4. Immediately you can see none of them are lighter than the other. They're all dark, or the darker, if you will, of the 2 shades. So that tells us that this is not a card with a specific suit. Well, without a specific suit, it's certainly not going to have a specific value. So the double backer, the blank, and the jokers are all going to have no suit indicator, and that helps. Things get a little, they're a little different also for things like the ace. Now, this is our ace of diamonds, and I'm keeping things simple by using the same suit. In the ace of diamonds, and looking on edge helps, because the first marker is not an ace, and there's a reason for this. I believe there's a design reason for this. You might say, well, wait a minute, isn't the ace supposed to be the first pip? 1, 2, 3. Ace, 2, 3. You'd think so. And this is an ace. This is the ace of diamonds. You'd think that that would make sense, but it wouldn't. And here's why. Let me find the 2 of diamonds in this deck to illustrate. And why I'm doing that, I will say that the easiest way to tell an outjogged or offset part of a print is to have something on both sides of it to compare to. So what this means is our 2 here, and this is kind of obvious when you look at it, has the first spade normal, the third spade normal, and you can see this one is pushed over this way. It's pushed over to the left. What is difficult is if this was only able to be compared with the top one. And there's another reason. When cards are held, there is a likelihood that the bottom left one will not be exposed. This pip, I keep saying that. This design, this mark, will be concealed by another card. Now, that may be true for the second one as well, but it's almost a guarantee for the first one. So I think those two design considerations, and wisely so, made it so that the 2 and the ace are different. So you say, well, okay, where are the aces done? Well, let's work up from the queen. We did the jack, and we knew that was the 10th one. We knew we went 7, 8, 9, 10, and up. Sorry about the glare. So a queen, if a jack is 11, a queen is going to be 12. So let's see where 12 is. Well, 12 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So here's the queen, and I'm hoping bringing it back out a little like this helps. This queen is now out-jogged or offset to the left. I hope you can tell that. I'm trying different angles with this less than perfect magnifier. I think it's most obvious when you look above the next card. And the reason I think that is because you can see the point and you're looking and it misses. It misses to the right, or excuse me, in this case, the left. That it misses hitting the middle of the feet of this one. And some people are going to say, well, wait a minute, it's easier to look at the flat big bottom of the spade against the pointy part here. And that's how I see it. Hey, that's great. But this is the 12th card, 6 and 6. It's 6 from the bottom. And which do you think are darker, this or this from the markers? Well, it's this one. And again, I'm sorry, it's a little bit, I only have so much resolution here to show you. The eye is better. This is darker than this one. So it's a 6 plus 6, if you will, if you want to think about it like that. And sure enough, CHSD, chased, diamond. So there's our queen. So wait a second, 6 and 6. Okay, I get that. Wait a minute, the king's not a 6 or a 12. What do you do for a king? Well, the same system applies, except you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So let's see what 13 looks like under the magnifier. Now, this is only used for the king because it's 7, a count of 7 from the bottom, right? So, and if you look, if I just bring it down just a hair, you can see that the king is now right next to the spades identifier, the spades suit identifier. So here's our 4. We're still a diamond, so that's why that's still dark. And there's our king right here. And our king is offset to the left. And this guy is lighter than this and this. Whether or not this magnifier shows you, I'm just showing you the system. On your own deck, it'll be patently obvious. You say, well, wait a second. If that's the king, the ace would be... Wait, no. You're not going to mess with these 4, are you? For an ace? Well, here's the cool part. Because it uses the upper left as the indicator, because the king, it's a 7, so it's not going to be down here, right? Because remember, the first round only goes to 6. And this may sound complicated, but it's not when you look at him. The king has this guy light. Guess what? There's one more left up here. And guess what that's going to be? That's right. Here's our ace. Let's take a peek right next to the king. And what do you know? Take a look at the half spade here versus the half spade here. King, ace. So the ace has the lightest half spade, if you will, or the pip indicator, whatever makes more sense to you, all the way up at the top, regardless of these 4. So, you know, if it was going to follow the pattern, it'd be queen, king, and an ace. No. Much easier to just do it this way. Much easier. Now, the tour edition is much more devious. I don't even know if it's going to show up well on camera. But that covers suits and pips on the Black Edition deck. I'm just using white lines, black lines, doesn't matter. Now let's look real quick, because we understand the system. The system is the same. There is one exception. Well, other than the fact that the markings are different. On the Tour Edition, we don't look for variations in light to determine which is which. In fact, let me find a couple that are easy enough to do here. In fact, I'll use the top couple of spades. What it does is it uses the width of the split in the spades to determine the mark. So with these, they're all dark, and they're much darker. If I just take out one of these guys, look at the difference. Huge, huge difference between the Black Label, the white and black lions, and the Tour Edition. Tour Edition is very dark. Why would you want it real dark? Well, come to find out that the markings here are exactly the same, but they're using, where's the jack? Oh, forgot the jack. They're using a gap in between the the two halves of the spade. So his company, Split Spade, or the deck name, or whatever, being Split Spade, it's using the split spade, if you will, haha, as the determiner. So here's our 10. And gotta make, oh, let me double check this focus here, make sure everything's just in focus as it can be. The system is the same. Not used. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack Queen, King Ace. Except there is no difference in the darkness, lightness, anything. What is used is the gap, and this is going to be very difficult to show on camera. So first off, I want to show that the suit indicators are the same, but they're backwards from what you were used to on the other deck. These are still an S shape, okay? So it's still an S shape, or I don't know, yeah, it's an S, except it goes the other way, and the hearts are down below, so it's reversed. Club, heart, spade, diamond. Before, on the black labels, you saw club, heart, spade, diamond. This is club, heart, spade, diamond. So not only are these two reversed, but these two are reversed. And maybe that's the easiest way to remember. I remember because it makes an S on both decks for CHSD, rather, the chased. Okay? So now, we know that these are spades, and I just told you which one was the spade. The spade's the one at the top. Now you tell me, can you see that the gap between the left and right halves of this spade right here is wider than the other three suit indicators? Can you? If you know what to look for, you can. And I'm telling you, look for that white line. Get it? White line. And see if it's as pronounced as the other three. If it isn't, you're holding a joker or a gaff card. But if it is, CHSD. You'll just have to remember from left for the tour and right for the other decks. But make an S. CHSD, CHSD. In this case, we're starting from the left with a tour deck. CHS, it's a spade, and it is. It's a 10. So you say, okay, well, this isn't so hard. Now that we know the system, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not only is that used as an indicator there, but we're also offset. So now we have, this guy is a little wider, not a lot, but a little. And again, the eye is much better than what I'm doing here. And you can also see that it's offset. So our same, the fourth one up here, our same metering, and again, I've got some bad shadow from the right. Can you see how you can see the entire left half of that spade, of that fourth marker? And if you fool yourself and squint, you could think you can actually see the left side of the other spade, but not so with the ones above it. And I know I'm doing a horrible job, but there you go. And you say, okay, it's jogged off to the left, but before it was above or below that was lighter or darker. Well, they're all the same brightness, darkness, intensity, whatever you want to call it. So how is it done? Well, simplicity itself. We know it's the second row, correct? This is 10. So we know that anything we're looking for is going to be up because it's the upper bank, not the lower. If this is the fourth marker and low was indicated, it would be the 4 of spades. But because we know it's the 10 of spades, something must be up on the left. Oh, now you see it. The marker, instead of being lighter, is jogged to the left. Can you see? A lot more of it's gone than the top of the bottom. Or if I decide to go this way, okay, so that's a pretty horrible way of doing it. So once you find the one that is jogged to the left, and I swear you can tell that they're a little bit wider, the marker, but for surezies it's going to be off to the left, then all you do is look above and below and see who is also jogged off to the left. 10 of spades. So the suit's pretty easy. Here's the jack. Jack is 11. So it's going to be 6 for the first round and 5 for the next, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And can you see that this is further left than this? You know, one thing that might help, look at the gap between this vertical line and the half spade. Is that more helpful? Where you can see how this one is a shorter gap, a more narrow gap than above it or below it. This was our marker, and it is off to the left. Hopefully you're starting to be able to see those. Queen. Queen is 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There it is, jog to the left. Is it a low 6 or a high 6? This one is further to the left, isn't it, than this one? King. King is 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 and 6 is 12. This is our guy. Sure enough, especially if you look up here, it is definitely jogged to the left. And so is this indicator. Now you would even have a lower indicator for this because you're off the 6 markers, right? You're on 7. But just in case, to make it easy, they decided to put it over here. So there's the king. The ace, it's very interesting because I don't believe, and this being, just to show you, I'm pulling a trick, this is the ace of spades. We've been doing all spades. Our suit indicator is here. And if I was counting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, Just like the other deck, this is the ace. But as I look, I don't see, and perhaps your eyes are better than mine, I don't see that there's a difference right where I'd expect it. I'd expect this to be outjogged, and it doesn't appear that way to me. I can take it, I can hold it on edge, which is the easiest way when you're looking at it like this in person, and I don't see it. So I believe if you see a suit indication, I was using the other marking system for the other deck. This is wider. This is our spade indicator with the tour deck. You can see it is much wider. It wasn't this one, it was this one. And being the ace, I believe if that's all you see and you don't see any of these other guys, either the main 6 or 7 offset, or you don't see your half spade offset any, but yet you still have a suit indication, that's the 8. That's the way I've been doing it, and that's the way that works. It could be different. I could be completely wrong. If you look at one of the jokers, lastly, you can see there is no suit indication. And if there's no suit indication, there's no need to look at the pips. There you go. So that's the Tour Edition and the Black Label, or the Lions, the actual Lions, or whatever you want to call them. This is the difference in the boxes. Yes, there are markings on the Joker, on the Black Edition, the Black Label, showing 7 of the 8 cards on the Joker, the second from the left on the bottom row not being from the deck, and they are people from, current Magic, his dad and whatnot, on the Joker. But that's not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in this video is illustrating the marking system for both decks. So that, as in-depth as it was, is it. And I did want to mention with this, because I mentioned this on the other, for the other deck, that the markings on the back of the Tour Edition, it's very, very difficult, if at all, to say that they are one-sided backs. In fact, it's so difficult that it wouldn't be practical in a demonstration. So the Tour decks here, I put autofocus back on. The Tour decks do not, to me, show a difference in the gap at the sides of the card, at the edges of the card, like they would. Let's say I'm turn this guy around. You see what I mean? No difference. We did see that with the Lions, or rather the Black Label Lions, because they're technically Tour Edition Lions. And there you go. That's the marking systems on both decks. If you want to have reversible or one-way backs, you want to get the Black Label cards, the ones in the white and the black Lions. If thanks Logitech for being so wonderful at focusing. If that doesn't matter to you, or you want different things, or you just want it to be cheaper, the Tour Edition is here, and the Tour Edition doesn't come with all the gaff cards that the black does. I'm not going to get into all that. There you go. That's as complete a marking system tutorial or overview that I can give. See you next card.